Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. Now, this week, a word from our sponsor. Need a break from life stresses? Ever feel so frustrated and pissed off that you just want to break some shit, but you don't have the time or money to replace it or end up in court and jail? Then we have the solution for you. Check out our break rooms. For more information, check us out at breakalltheshit.com or give us a call at 1-8-BREAK-SHIT. Tammy, have you ever been to a break room?
I have not, but I've always wanted to go.
Me
Sounds so
too.
much fun.
I'm gonna have to try. Like real talk, I am going to. I want to try one out. Like all this stress and tension. Yeah, I want to try one. I want to go break shit. They're kind of expensive, but I do want to go break some stuff.
It's
All
expensive
right.
because you got to pay for what you're breaking.
Yeah, but and I guess the plus side to that is I will have to worry about replacing it because it's not my shit I'm breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this week, we hit the road with Netflix's The Lincoln Lawyer, which is a remake or series adaptation of 2011 film starring Matthew McConaughey. Both the TV series and the film were adapted from author Michael Connelly's popular Lincoln Lawyer book series about lawyer Mickey Haller, excuse me, who pretty much gives a new meaning to the term mobile office as he tries cases both big and small all over the greatest Los Angeles area by running his law firm or his law practice out of the back of his Lincoln. After being out of practice for a year due to an injury and subsequent stint in rehab for drug addiction, Mickey inherits a law firm from a former colleague slash friend who's murdered. Along with the practice, Mickey also inherits the Elliott case, which involves a tech billionaire accused of killing his wife and her lover. While trying what is arguably the biggest case of his career, Mickey tries to come to terms with his past, deal with his present, as he works toward building his new future. So Tammy, what did you think of a great case, or maybe you want to plead the fifth?
Oh, it was amazing. It was awesome. I loved it. I gave a little spoiler on our last episode at the very end because I just enjoyed it so much. Um, and I was watching The Lincoln Lawyer while I was trying to get through Moon Knight. And if you listen to our last episode, whether you did or not, it was very hard for me to get through Moon Knight. I was not a fan of the series. And so I would be like, okay, I'm going to watch one episode and then I'm going to go back to Lincoln Lawyer. And then I would go back to Lincoln Lawyer for like one episode. And then all of a sudden, two episodes will go by and be like, oh gosh, I got to finish this. I got to finish Moon Knight because we're about to get started on the show, on the episode. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I suggested it to everybody. I told everybody, hey, you got to watch The Lincoln Lawyer. And they were like, with Matthew McConaughey, I said, no. The TV series on Netflix. It's really, really good. My mom binge watched it in one Saturday. So if my mom approves and thinks it was great, then it definitely was because she's such a difficult person to get to like shows. So yeah, I loved it. I loved it. It was really, really good. And like a shout out to like one of my favorite Netflix movies that does not get enough attention. Underground. With oh my god, what's the dude name? Deadpool. What's Deadpool name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, Ryan Reynolds. And so the guy who plays Mickey Haller, it was the one of the characters in that movie, and I love that movie. Like I watched that movie over and over again. I thought it was really good. I was hoping for a sequel, never brought it up, but anyway, so I was just like, oh, okay, I could see him making a name for himself. He was good. I liked him.
Yeah, Six Underground was good. And before we get started, just a disclaimer. I have a bit of a sinus thing happening, and it's causing a cough. I sound like I have a dead frog trying to fight through my throat, my voice. So I sound a little worse than usual. I know normally I sound like a kid. Today I sound like a kid with a frog. So um, forgive me if I happen to start coughing during the middle of our show. But yes, Six Underground was amazing. Now that I got my Woo Assassins, I could go for a Six Underground. I always thought it would be a great TV series or series. Not necessarily, maybe because I don't know if Ryan Reynolds would do series, but okay, that was just a side. But I did not know he was one of the guys. I thought he looked familiar. Um, but
Yeah,
back
he
to
was
this.
what, three? I think his name was.
He was number three. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but this was much better than I thought it was going to be. Like honestly, when I heard about the series, I wasn't excited, and I knew it happened a couple of years ago. And when I originally heard about it, it was because it was supposed to be on CBS. It was supposed to be a CBS series, but it was canceled before it even went into production because guess what happened in 2020? The world shut down due to Rona. So originally, it was a Rona casualty. And I can't say I was really disappointed because, again, I just had the movie to go by, and I was not the biggest fan of the Lincoln Lawyer movie. Um, so I did enjoy this a lot better. And I would have to say that I actually, sometimes what seems like the worst thing to happen is actually a blessing in disguise because I don't know that I would see this as a network show, something so formulaic on a network. Like, I don't know that it would have worked necessarily, especially on CBS. Um, so I agree with you. I loved the guy's name is Manuel Garcia Rufo as Mickey Holler. And of course, the decision to cast a Mexican American actor caught flack. But I think that came from people because the movie actually, so I did research, the nerd in me came out. The movie, surprise, surprise, actually whitewashed the character of Mickey Holler. And the TV series took him back to his original roots. The original character in the book, as written, in the book series, as written, is Mexican American. His dad was was a hot
Oh, I
shot
didn't know that. Okay.
LA lawyer, and his mom was a Mexican actress, just like in the series. So I kudos to David E. Kelly and his team for taking the. I didn't know that either. Like I said, because I thought, oh, okay. Are they being groundbreaking? People are like, oh, is this a diversity hire? Are we trying to do, because after 2020 and and the push in Hollywood now to be more diverse, people are like, oh, but no, it was the movie surprisingly that whitewashed the character. So I just want to say kudos to them for going back and um, casting. I thought he was great in the character, in the role of Mickey Holler. So um, I applaud that. But um, and the rest of the casting, what did you think about the rest of the casting? I thought it was spot on. I loved Becky Newton from Ugly Betty as ex-wife number two, aka Lorna.
Yes. Which connection to the fact that what's his name? Christopher.
Gorham.
Yes. On how like he was the love interest for Betty in the TV series Ugly Betty. I loved it. I loved it because I really, when I looked at the character of Trevor Elliott and I love the actor, I was just like, I hated him. Like hated him. He was an asshole. Like an absolute asshole. And I fully fell into that every time he came on the scene. I was not thinking of the actor. I was not seeing the actor. I was seeing the character, how much I hated the character. So kudos to him as well for really selling that character. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good across the board. I love the casting that they did. Yeah, I have like a little it's very, I don't know, vain or whatever. Detective Griggs, his voice was too deep for me. It threw me off sometimes. I had to really listen to him in order to fully understand what he was saying in every scene that he was in. But overall, yeah, the casting was great. Love Nev Campbell. Huge fan of Scream series, as well as The Craft. And so it was cool. I didn't know she was Another thing that I will say that I give kudos to is she's about 10 years older than the main actor. And normally in these series, they'll have an older actor and then the ex-wife or the love interest is always younger, sometimes way younger than the main character. And so it was a flip on she is older than him in real life. I mean, I don't know if it's in the series, but in real life, Nev Campbell is older than Manuel by I think almost 10 years. And so I really, really liked that that dynamic, because we always see the flip of it all the time in TV and movies. So it was just a nice thing to see.
Oh, well, I didn't know that, but kudos to how well she's aging as well.
Yeah.
Um, but um, I loved it. One of the things about the casting that I thought made it so good was just the chemistry that they all had, especially with the main character, with Manuel or Mickey, Lorna. Because when you see her name pop up on his phone, ex-wife number two, you think it's going to be a contentious relationship. You think it's going
Yeah.
to be, you think, oh gosh, she's going to be a bitch, and that she's just going to be calling him about. And at first, she's busting his balls about getting to work, but then you realize that that's their love language. Like they really are protective of each other, and they really do love each other, just not as a husband and wife. Like they realized, it seems like they realized pretty early on into their marriage or relationship, like he said, that they made a mistake and that they were better friends and partners as far as business partners than husband and wife. But I was happy to see that they had a good relationship. Um, and I loved Cisco. Now that was my thing. You said Detective Griggs's voice was too deep for you. Cisco was too whispery for me.
Oh, yeah, I can see that as well.
And
just
so
little vain things that we're
yeah,
talking about.
just little idiosyncrasies that I was just like, I love the character of Cisco, but I don't know. It took me a while to get used to, like, at first him talking was like nails on a chalkboard, kind of probably like I sound now. But he was like just too whispery. So I was just like, okay. But I did love the character of Cisco. And it's going to be interesting to see the price he's going to have to pay for taking over his debt from the um because I'm skipping ahead here, but just kind of since I'm on that character, he was a hell of a PI, and I want more of his backstory. Like his backstory seems like it was really, really interesting, and it's one of those things. Like, am I going to have to start reading these books now to figure out what is going on with Cisco? Um, but yeah, so this series picked up what they said with book number two. So. But yeah, I loved him. I did love Neve Campbell. She was ex-wife number one, Maggie, the love of Mickey's life so far. Um, am I wrong in saying that I hope she's not in game?
Oh, really?
Really, like there was a point where I was kind of rooting for it, and I understand why she was kind of nervous and skeptical, because I know his addiction probably wreaked havoc on their relationship. Addicts do that, and I know that it took a lot for her to regain her trust in him. I understand that, but and like I said, I haven't read the books, but from what I'm gathering is that his addiction was not the end of their marriage. His addiction came after their marriage had already ended. It just probably affected their co-parenting relationship, and everyone, their mother, could see that he wasn't over her, that he'd never gotten over her. And I'm sure that would probably have played a role in his relationship with Lorna, because they said that he and Lorna had gotten married as a rebound to his relationship with Maggie. So I get that. But yeah, it was just, I think the fight that they had at the end, it kind of just proved that, where she said, we're just, she was like, we had other issues. In a lot of ways that maybe they're too much alike, and in all the ways that they're like, they're also so different. And so I was just like, as much as you may love each other, I just don't see, like, and the feeling I got with them is that maybe like he never got over her because he never gave himself time to grieve the end of that relationship. But from the feeling I got, it was one of those relationships where when it was good and it was damn good. But when it was bad, it was outright toxic. And you got to feel for that, where she pretty much wanted, she was a control freak. Like she wanted everything on her schedule and on her time. Like she was willing to let, when you get down to it, she was willing to let an innocent man rot away in prison just to make her case.
Which one was that?
At the end, the guy, his white whale, the guy who had gotten away, the one that his reason for addiction, because you remember when Izzy said there's always a reason.
Oh, right, because of Langford. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like, and now that shocked the shit out of me. Some of it I could predict, but I never saw Langford as the dirty cop who set all of that in motion.
I didn't either. That
And
that was
so
that was a shock.
and so but it's like, well, when it came, like he didn't even see it as Langford. They thought they were going after another cop. And so it was like when Langford's name came out in court, and you just was like, well, my case, and you like he didn't do it on purpose. And I get that she was angry, but I just think a lot of that conversation and just a lot of what I saw from that character. I'm not saying she was a bad person, because I don't think that. I actually love the character. I just understand why they were not together, and I was like, okay. And it's one of those cases where if they are in game, if this gets if this gets picked up again, because we are, of course, dealing with fucking Netflix. Um, but if it does get picked up for another season or two, ultimately, you're going to have to show me, prove to me that she's in game and why she should be in game, other than she was probably his first true love and the mother of his child. I understand that love runs deep, but I'm not saying that it should run eternal, not like that. I don't know.
I disagree. I think she, and she's mentioned it before, she was really affected by the fact that she persuaded her witness to stay in it, that when he wanted to get out because he was worried about his family, she persuaded him to continue moving forward, to still testify, and that ultimately got him killed. Is because she used her good persuasive skills in order to get him to stick with the case. Um, and I think once he was killed, that was her driving force for the rest of it. That's the reason why she was willing to put the woman in danger, his the guy's girlfriend, who was pregnant, because her driving force was just getting that guy who killed her witness, who ordered the hit on her witness, who had a family and told her his fears. So I understand the angry. I think that they know how to hit below the belt, and I think that she knows how to hit below the belt, and she knows what his weakness is, and his weakness is her. His weakness is getting back his family, and he cannot ultimately get back his family without getting her back. And I think that in that moment she was extremely angry at the fact that her case blew up. And so we're gonna have to just agree to disagree on that one, because I understood where she was coming from. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't agree with it. I understood where Mickey was coming from when he made the decision that he made, and he did not take her case into consideration. You're a prosecutor. I'm a defense attorney. My focus is always on my clients more than on your feelings. And no, I can't tell you what is going on, because then it could have hurt my case. It's not about trust necessarily, although she took it like that he didn't trust her. I don't think it was about trust. I think he did not want anything to come about. Talking to the wrong person. She could have mentioned it to a colleague who happened to be close to Langford, and it could have blew up the whole entire case. So I understand where he's coming from. I just think emotions ran high, and like you said, that is what the weakness is that emotions run high, and she hits below the belt every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understood her anger. I'm not saying it wasn't justifiable. Did I necessarily? Did I agree with it? No, but I understood where it's come from. I understood her driving force. I understood all of that. I'm just saying that from what I've seen, I think they're better off as friends and co-parents than as in game ultimately. And to convince me, I'm open to the fact that she probably is or she may be in game. Like I said, I haven't read the rest. I haven't read the book series. It's something that I'm tempted to put on my list. Um, and like I said, it takes a lot, kind of like Jack Reacher, for me to want to go back and try to read a series or books after I've seen the television series or the movie or something. But this is one of those things that's really interesting. And like I said, the movie didn't hold that interest for me. The movie gave me no inclination to even want to do that. I think I had a passing idea that the movie was based on a book series, but it just didn't give me any inkling, kind of like Jack Reacher or the Reacher series, to even want to go back and read the books just to see what it was about. So, I don't know if she ultimately is in game, but from what I've seen, I'm just like, let's see what else comes along. Or maybe I have to see him with other love interests and her with other love interests to get me back to the point where, hey, they truly belong with each other, if that makes sense. So I would need to see more to convince me that that's in game. I did love Izzy. I loved his relationship with her, um, his driver slash sobriety partner, and I loved how she was so much more than just his driver, how they truly became friends and family, and how they held each other to account, for their sobriety, and how they didn't judge each other, when they had their slips or their near slips, how they were just there to help pick each other up, the other up. So I loved his relationship with Izzy. It was probably, one of my favorites. And you knew that at that moment where he found out that at one point she'd been sleeping in her car, you just knew that if she were still sleeping in her car, he would have said, "Oh no, you're moving in with me."
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I saw, like I was prepared for that. I was like, I was prepared for that to be the case, but she was like, "Well, I'm not as of last week. I was able to get in my apartment." He's like, "Oh, okay," because I just knew the next thing that was coming was like, "No, that's not happening. You're moving in with me till you get a new place or whatever." So, what did you think about their relationship?
I loved it. I think one of the strong things about this series was the relationship, and I think you mentioned it before, the relationship that Mickey had with his people, with his the most important people in his life, his daughter Haley, his first ex-wife Maggie, his second ex-wife Lorna. I loved his relationship with Cisco, who was engaged to his second ex-wife Lorna, and was working as his private detective, his private investigator. I loved his relationship with Izzy, just the important people in his life. I loved the connections that he had with them and how he built relationships with them. Um, so yeah, like just his main relationships. Like when you remember the scene where he's telling Cisco, like, Lorna is one of the four most important people in his life, so he better take care of her. And he was like, okay, so who's the fourth? because because he was like, okay, so Maggie, Haley, Lorna, but who's the fourth? And before he could say who the fourth was, then he got the call and he had to like walk out. He was like, no, who's the fourth? And because I felt like he was asking, like, am I the fourth? Am I the most important person? Like, or was it Izzy who slipped in and became his fourth most important? Or was it himself? Was he being a little narcissistic? And he was talking about himself. So it was just really, really, I thought that was a scene. And I'm like, is that going to come up a little bit later? Because I felt like they left it open on purpose, on
Yeah,
him not saying who the fourth person was.
yeah, me too. And Lorna, how protective she was, and she was just, um, you think kind of like Izzy that Lorna didn't like Izzy, and he's like, no, no, she likes you. She's just really protective. You just got to give her a chance. And I kind of wish you would have seen a little bit more of her, but because she was in the Lincoln with him all the time. But one of the scenes where you saw that they really had bonded, just kind of like off screen or whatever, was when they were having the donuts in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And her and Cisco, and and then she was like, well, and then Lorna was concerned or asked me about Izzy at one point too. So it's just kind of like, yeah, they had accepted her into the family in the mold. So that was really cool. I like that as well. Um, okay, so now onto the case. You brought it up. Christopher Gorham as Trevor Elliott. He was amazing. He was really, really good.
Yes, he was.
I loved him since, God, what was it? The show Popular, which was very short lived, and
Yes.
then Covert Affairs, and well, Ugly Betty, and then Covert Affairs, and so he has just become one of my favorite character actors, mostly known for television, but he really is a good actor. And like you said, in this role, you saw him as Trevor Elliott, and at one point, and this is how good he was. At one point, you wanted, even though he was an asshole, because you kind of got him as that aloof asshole billionaire tech guy who's not used to being told no, but you didn't necessarily think that he was criminal. In business and getting to where he wasn't always above board, but you didn't necessarily think that he was a murderer. So there were points where I agree with you. He was an asshole. He never gave me the warm and fuzzies. But there were some points where I actually was like, he didn't do it. Because, I did sense, like, once it started to make sense about the gun, when they were talking about transference, and then the guy, the veteran who shot off all those rounds, I'm like, oh, so that's how the gunpowder residue got all over him. Okay. And so I was like, wow, okay. So it's like, but then there are other times when you're like, you knew he did it, but you just couldn't figure out how he did it. So when they revealed it, I was like, oh, but I wasn't surprised. So that just goes to show how good he did. And then he spelled out to us, um, it wasn't why he pulled it off, because I got that, because he told us throughout the series why he did what he did, if he'd actually done it. Like, from the fact that he was like, she's the heart and soul behind Parallax. Well, not only was she the heart and soul, she was the fucking brains, because she's the one who actually broke the code um, to make the 3D models lifelike. So, okay, they didn't sign a prenup. All right. She was tired of living in his shadow. He said that. He was trying to keep her from leaving. He was trying to save his marriage, but actually, he was trying to save his company. So it was ego that he did it, but it wasn't ego because she was cheating on him. It was ego because she was about to leave and take literally everything with her when she left. So the why didn't surprise me, because he basically spelled that out for us. It was just how he was able to do it. That was the thing that I was stuck on. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, now that makes sense with the drone and stuff. So I thought that was pretty ingenious, especially when stuff where, along the way, you can kind of figure some of the stuff out. So I love that there was some stuff we could figure out on our own, and then some stuff that we were just like, oh, okay, that we still had to guess, that we were still having to catch up with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So what did you think about? Were you surprised? Hey, you probably weren't surprised that he did it.
No. So I started to guess that he actually did it midway through the series.
Yeah.
Because he was just so adamant about him not doing it. That I was just like, okay, he did it. Now, how did he do it? And so I like, the funny thing is when Mickey finally revealed how he was able to get away with it, I remember thinking that when they showed the picture, when they were in court, right? And they were going through the trial, and they showed the picture of him sitting there on his phone, right? And they're like, what were you doing? He was shifting through his emails. And my first thought was he was playing with his drone. That was my first thought. I was just like, no, he's playing with his drone, because every single time that you saw him, he was playing with his drone. So yes, I agree on that. Like, I was just like, yeah, that's very, very suspicious. Now, I didn't think that he took his drone and made the clothes go across into the ocean and dropped it. That was ingenious on what he did. But But yeah, like I started to suspect him when you kept seeing that picture, and I'm just like, no, it's the drone. Like he's not checking his email. What are you checking his email for? He don't care. He don't care about no email. I was like, he was playing with his drone every single time, perfecting his skills. So, but yeah, he was great in the role. He made me hate the character. It's kind of sad too because that older couple that was in the court every day, that was her mom and dad, though they never said anything, that was her parents. He got what he deserved in the end. So I guess, he got away with it. Client attorney client privilege. So Mickey wasn't able to tell on him, but you got what you deserved on the end.
Not only attorney-client privilege, he was protected by attorney-client privilege, but
And
he was
double
also
jeopardy.
and double jeopardy.
Yeah.
So, I was just like, yeah, because I'm with you. It got to the point where I'm like, okay, I wanted to believe. There were parts where I wanted to believe that he didn't do it, right? And in the beginning, I'm like, okay, and then I'm about halfway through. I'm like, okay, he did it, but how the hell did he do it? And so that's what I was waiting for. I'm like, okay, how did he do this? And what I and so I was just like, okay. And he did get what he deserved, but I hated that it went out like that because she the chick, the insurance chick who was in love with the man whore of a yoga instructor, basically threw her life away, you know. Um, and so it wasn't worth it. So I'm like, damn, dude, you just basically killed three people, you know. So I was just like, wow. But yeah. Um, um, I did not see the thing with the judge coming. I really did think
Me
that
either.
Vincent, I really did think that Vincent's trial, I really did think that his death was somehow related to the trial or to, oh boy. Once I was like, oh, did he kill them because he was going to ask for a continuance? Um, I thought, okay, and it turns out it was related. It just had to do with the jury tampering. And so I was like, okay, was he going to turn them in for the jury tampering? Was he blackmailing them? Was he, you know, like I yeah, so that was still kind of like, did they ever really explain why they decided to turn on him?
No, and see, and that was kind of like up in the air as well. I didn't fully understand the reasoning behind Judge Holder killing Vincent. I would like I fully didn't understand that. I think that was just a twist, in the end, and it was like, oh shoot, never saw that coming. But it didn't, even when Mickey sat down with her, it's still, I think I was still confused in the end on why.
Yeah, like the jury tampering scheme made sense.
Oh,
I
is it
got
because she
that part.
was she was tampering with the jury for her husband's cases, maybe?
Yeah, but see, but Vincent was all in it because remember, Mickey realized he was like, okay, he would have never kept. He understood the importance of the vet, but he would have never kept the vet drugged up in a county psych ward for like 90 days, 6 months until the trial took place. Especially when you had all the evidence you needed on that tape. That was unnecessary. So he wasn't above playing dirty because Mickey was like, I understand now the reason why he left me his firm. He thought we were the same and we would do things the exact same when we weren't. So taking, he wasn't above the jury tampering. He wasn't above the dirty dealing or the bribery. So that's what I'm thinking. It's like, okay, did he all of a sudden start blackmailing you guys? Like,
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. She'd been doing that means she's probably been doing it for years for her husband's cases since he was a defense attorney and for her husband's firm. And so and you remember when she said that my husband and him were friends. And he had met, like he had went to their the memorial service for him. And so I'm thinking maybe that's what it was, is that then all of a sudden he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be in this as well, or I'm gonna tell on what you've been doing for years. And so they felt that it was just smarter to kill him than to, have it be out there that he could one day reveal their secret.
yeah. So That was like, I didn't see the twist coming. I understood the jury tampering scheme. I got all of that. She was the perfect person for it. I just never quite understood how it led to Vincent's death. Like, was it because he was blackmailing? He was going to tell. He was going to ask for the continuance. Like, he was going to, was it because he didn't need the juror anymore because he had his, what they called the magic bullet, when he figured out the connection between the gun residue and the clothing. So, that was one of the things that was kind of left up in the air to me. But other than that, the judge holder, she was a David E. Kelly vet from The Practice. So, did you ever watch The Practice?
Was that
Take
the
that as
one
a
with the guy from the Blacklist?
No. The Practice was the
Oh, that
law
was
show.
Boston Legal. Then no, I never watched The Practice.
Okay. Wow, that was a good show. Um. All right. I Did you have a favorite episode or a favorite moment throughout?
Um, I will just say once again, like, I fully recommend the series. And one reason why I recommend the series is because of the dynamics of the cast. I think they played off of each other very, very well, um, until the very end. I think that each person showed you why they were so important in Mickey's life. Um, yeah, just the dynamics of his the family that he created for himself, because if you realize, none of them was his, like, except for his daughter, none of them was like family that he grew up with. Like, they showed clips previously of like his mom, his dad, but all those people were people that he chose to be his family, and the dynamics was just amazing in the series, along with the twists and turns of how he was working the case, with the big profile case of Trevor Elliott. So yeah, so I would just recommend the series because I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, and he was a damn good lawyer. If you're ever in trouble in TV land or in real life, you want or need a lawyer like Mickey Holler on your side. I don't know that necessarily I had a favorite episode. I really enjoyed them all, but I mentioned some of my favorite scenes earlier, but one of my other ones that stood out is when Lorna was at the soccer game with Haley, or soccer practice, and Haley and the other girl start fighting, and she pulls them apart. And then the coach comes up to her and goes, "And who are you?" She goes, "I'm her former stepmother."
No, the fact that the coach is like going over there and all of a sudden she's looking at Lorna and it's like, what is she gonna do? Thinking she would be needed, and Lorna just handled it on her own. Like, I don't need you. Like, I got this on lock. Now apologize.
Yeah.
I loved
And
it.
I do hope Lorna goes to law school. She would be a phenomenal lawyer. And I, the reason that they explained for her dropping out makes complete sense. And so it's nice to see that that she finalized and submit on that application to get to be reinstated, and knowing that the most important people in her life, from Mickey to Cisco, support her in that endeavor. I think she would be an excellent addition to Mickey's law firm. Um, I just think it would be great. So um, I can pretty much guess the answer to question number two before to the one of the final questions before we wrap up. Yay or nay on a continuation of the series?
Yay.
Yay. I definitely agree. Like I said, I don't know enough about the book series to know which book to even begin to recommend that they do. I know the series were written a while back, so I think I do want to go ahead and say that I think they did a great job in updating this, because a lot of the techie stuff was not written or around about 10, 20 years ago when these books probably first started coming out. So kudos to them on that. But I loved everything from the casting. It was a good show, much better than the movie. Highly recommended. If you want to see eye candy, I guess that's the movie. A younger Matthew McConaughey, Ryan Phillippe. But that was pretty much all I can remember about the movie besides the Lincoln. But um, the series, I think, um, And I also want to say that Michael Connelly, the author, co-signed on the series, that he was happy that they went back to the original iteration of the character. And I think a lot like the author, did Michael Connelly also write the Jack Reacher series?
I don't believe so. I don't think that was his.
No, Lee Child is the author of Jack Reacher, but just like Lee Child and Jack Reacher, I want to say that Michael Connelly co-signed on the Lincoln Lawyer series too. So that's kudos when you have the original people who created these characters saying that you did a good job, and they're proud of what you did with their work and how you updated it and gave it a new life. So, but it's hard to go wrong with David E. Kelly. He is one of he was uh, Dick Wolf before Dick Wolf was Dick Wolf. I remember there was a time when David E. Kelly had 50 different TV series on at the same time. To practice Boston Legal. Gosh, that other show about the high schools that got Shay McBride his start. I can't even think of it right now, but there was a lot of them. So, anyway, I too
Boston
hope that
Public.
Boston Public, yes. Um, so I too hope that there is another season. All right, so wrapping this up, what would you rate the Lincoln Lawyer? How many popcorns are you giving it?
I'm giving the Lincoln Lawyer 4.25 popcorns. I really, really, really enjoyed the series. Kept going back to it because it was just so good. And I'm giving it this rating because I also really wanted to come back for a second season. Please, Netflix, give it in the second season. I think it was really, really good. It was in the top 10 for a while as well, if it's still there. Um, but yeah, and I just love the actor. I think I'm putting him on my list. I love the actor who played Mickey Holler. I thought he was really great. Love his accent. Oh my god, I love his accent. But yeah, so I'm giving it 4.25 popcorns. I'm being very generous, but that's because yeah, partly the actor as well.
Yeah, nothing like a sexy man with a sexy accent.
Yes.
He is a very attractive, and I loved him. And like I said, I had, me, I love diversity in everything, and I love it. So of course I was like, oh, okay. And I was even more surprised and more happy when they went back to the original version of the character. Um, I give it 4 popcorns, 4 out of 5. Much the same reason you do too. I think you found your Rue Assassins, the one that you will always be plugging Netflix to give a second season on. But I agree with you. It does deserve a second season. Hell, if they can keep renewing Emily in Paris, then they can renew this. But yeah, it was really good. And when I watched it, I binged it like your mom, and it was number one for the TV shows. And I just recently binged it, so watched it. I don't know, I haven't checked it as of taping where it's ranked, but most of the people that I've talked to, they've enjoyed it. They said that they liked it. Those who have watched it, and those who haven't, I said, what are you waiting for? So highly, highly recommend 4 popcorns. Um, Check it out. It is great, much, much better than the movie. So I believe. Do you have anything else in closing about the Lincoln Lawyer?
No, I
All
think we
right.
said it all in our review.
Well, that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Woo! I made it without a coughing attack through this one.
You
Yay!
did.
I just got froggier, but I did not cough up my guts. All right. Well, that does it for this episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and the latest one, Amazon. We doing big things.
Big thanks.
Okay. Big things. Still don't have a sound effect, but that comes later. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the new and improved popcornwinddown.com, making its full comeback with the daily wind down and all of our other amazing features in June. Yay! Maybe we
Woo!
can talk Tammy into restarting her watch list. I love that pregnant pause. We'll keep working on it.
I
Working
am.
working towards the. Now we'll be really doing big things when I get my sound effect, my popcorn. But that's okay. It's coming. Manifesting it, putting it out there. So thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week when we discuss another Netflix feature, The Takedown, starring Omar Sy of Lupin fame. I'm interested. I the trailer looks pretty good. Have you
It
watched it
did.
yet?
Yes, yes. I watched the trailer. I really like the trailer, but I have not seen the movie yet. So, but I think it's going to be good. I mean, we love Lupin. So if it's
Yeah.
on that level, then I think we'll be entertained.
All right. Well, good. Until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.